Now, number 12 and 13 are pretty much asking you to do the same thing. Even if one's a word problem, don't let that kind of intimidate you. It's the same. So let's take a look at number 12. They want to know the relative maximum and minimum. Why do they call it a relative max and minimum? Well, if I have a quadratic equation, and it looks like this or like this point here and here, this is the absolute maximum. There's no other point on the graph that's higher than it. Or here for the minimum. But when we have x to the third or x to the fourth, you have that same kind of, peak, but the graph keeps on going. So even this graph keeps going up and up and up. So there's no real maximum, but I could still call this a relative maximum. So kind of saying it's the maximum in that area. Or if it's, the other way around, there's no absolute minimum because this is just going to keep going, but I could say that this was the relative minimum. So that's just kind of why they stick that word in there. To find them, we want to go to the graph. I'll go to y equals and go ahead and type in x to the third plus 6x squared minus 36x. Take a look at the graph. Okay, this is kind of too, my window's too small. I can't really see what's going on. So you could press window and make the x minimum and maximum a lot bigger and your y minimum and maximum a lot bigger, or you could just hit zoom and just kind of keep zooming out. Another thing you could do if you don't really want to play with this window too much. There, so that kind of helps my window. So this would be my relative minimum. I can't see the maximum, so I need to make this a bit bigger. Still can't see it, so I need to make it a little bigger. Let's make it 250. There we go. So this would be my relative maximum, and that's my relative minimum. I can hit trace to kind of go down and see what they are. So it's negative 36. And the maximum will be up here at 215 something. You also could just go to your table. Okay, so if you're kind of following along, you can see here. So you see how your numbers go up to 216 and then they start going back down again. So 216 is my maximum. The x is at -6. And if you want to look at the minimum, you're kind of saying, well, where are the numbers lowest? So it looks like at, okay, so they go down to -40 and then start coming back up again. So the other one would be at x is 2, y is -40. So I'd go with A there. So you want to graph it. Take a look at the graph. There's your max, there's your minimum. 13 isn't a word problem, but I'm still doing the same thing. I'm going to take my equation. I've got, instead of the h's, I'm just going to use an x, so it doesn't really matter what letter you use. Go ahead and graph it. And let's put our zoom back to where it was. Zoom's number 6. Okay, so I want to see how my window's cut off on the top and bottom. So the y min and the y max need to be a bit bigger. So let's try -20, 20. A little bit bigger. Okay, there's the max, there's the min. For this one, they just want to know the maximum. Because if I'm making, I'm shipping boxes, I don't want to minimize, the size of the box. I want it to be able to hold as much as possible. So I can hit trace, and it looks pretty close to 25. Again, you can also look at the table. And I see, oh, okay, so, it's going up, hits 24, and then starts coming back down. So again, I would, between 0 and 8, looks like the biggest one is 24, it's closest to 25.